Hey everybody, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I just love the opportunity to talk Corvette with you. My name is Rick Conti. This is our Sunday Coffee with Conti show right here on our exclusive Corvette channel. I've got a fun one and an informational one for you guys today. It's one that came by your request in a vlog that I wasn't going to do, and it wasn't like I didn't want to do it. It just takes so long to compile all this data and then take that data and make these nifty little slides that you're going to see today as we talk about what my customers ordered last year versus what everyone else ordered. And when we share this data with you guys, besides it being fun and fascinating, it's educational. I think you're going to see there's a big disparity in these numbers, and it's because we spend time, once you come off the list into the abyss to actually order your car, we spend the time to go over the order, review the packages, make suggestions, but then when I have the great opportunity to do the physical delivery with you guys here at the store, because when we ship the cars, when we do museum delivery, I don't get to do that. But when you're here, I block off 2 hours at least for you guys. We get the paperwork done, we tell some stories, take some pictures, but I help you program the car, your memory package, your radio stations, sync your phone, understand maintenance, understand break-in. It's basically what I call the lasting impression, which I think is the most important one, and the one that I have so much fun at. So thank you again for those opportunities. We'll get into the comparisons in just a moment. Just a quick reminder, we had talked about it at some point on the channel in the last several months, that the 2022 Corvette printed brochure, which was the only printed brochure for General Motors, was Corvette last year, looked like it was going to be the last printed brochure ever. Now here we are, in the middle of 2023 production, and I just found out last week that we were able to pre-order a 2023 Corvette brochure, limited supply. If I can order more, I will, and if I get some extras, we'll do a giveaway, but when they come in, I'll share those with you. And I thought to myself, if you're going to have one last printed brochure, it took forever. I didn't think we were going to get these at all, but if you're going to have one last one, wouldn't you think that the 70th anniversary of Corvette would be the one that you would do the last printed brochure? That kind of nutty stuff, like these stats we're going to talk about today, are important to us Corvette people, aren't they? Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on today's Coffee with Conti. Thanks again for joining us today, everyone. And if you're a Corvette person, if you're a sports car person, you're into those nutty little stats. And that's what we have for you today. I think this is very fun, fascinating, and educational. Let's start first with overall C8 Corvette production. That takes us back to 2020, the first year for C8. All the delays, the strike and the COVID and you name it, it happened, and they still put out 20,368 cars. 2021, the year that I got my car, 26,216 cars. 2022, I had advanced data from distribution about 3 to 4 months to go. They were on projection to do 22,000 cars and pulled off almost another 4,000 cars. Was really amazing to me. A great job by the men and women in Bowling Green, Kentucky to do 25,831 cars last year for the 2022 model year. And so far, year to date, at the time of doing this video, 23, so let's call it 14,000 cars. So total C8s so far, over 86,000 C8 mid-engine Corvettes are on the road today. Crazy. There's still little pockets in the country that folks have not yet seen a C8 in person, sit in it, or even drive it. Now, there's some rental car companies out there now that you can rent a Stingray, but keep in mind, if you want to drive it, not have to worry about traffic, go to the NCM Motorsports Park in Bowling Green, Kentucky, across the street from the museum. You can drive a Stingray on the track in a safe, closed environment. And coming up in the middle of November, yeah, you can drive. It's the first place anywhere in the country you can drive a Z06 as well. So that might be something for you to check out. So let's look at a couple of more stats, and then we'll dive into the comparisons from last year's production. Let's look at worldwide production. And these percentages are coming out of the 22 production, that 25,831 number you just saw. Canadians last year got 3.9% of the production. Mexico got 0.3%. Middle East 0.7%. Japan 0.6%. Europe 2.7%. Australia and New Zealand 0.8% of the 2022 production for C8 Corvette. All right, so let's get into big conversation and hard to decide coupe versus convertible. You can see the national orders last year for 2022, 52.1% folks chose coupe. And it's hard. You want the Coupe because it's mid-engine, but do you want to clean the engine? My customers last year, 36% chose the Coupe. Look at the convertible numbers. Nationally, 47.9%. And my customers, 64% chose convertibles. That's 9% more than last year. Even the national numbers, those are up almost 6%. Wow, that is fantastic news. Let's look at the equipment groups that everybody chose, and I put these all together, coupe and convertible combined. The national orders, you can see the 1LT's at 15.4, 2LT 42.8, 3LT 41.8. Look at my customers' orders, 1LT at 7% and the 2LT at 53%. 3LT at 40%. That 2LT number is so high because we have so much great content in that 2LT package. Again, when we order these cars, it's important to have these conversations so you know the options, so you know your choices, and you pick the right car and just feel good about the money that you're spending, and you're going to love your Corvette. But 2LT is the best value, not to take away from the 1LT. The 1LT really is also the best value 1LT car that we've ever had, but the 2LT has more content than ever before. Let's look at some colors real quick here. Torch Red last year for 22 production nationally was 16.1%. My customers ordered Torch Red 20% of the time. Silver Flare, 3.6% nationally. My customers, only 2%. Red Mist, 12.7% nationally. My customers, 19%. You can do so much with this Red Mist. It is such a fun, classy color. Really like that color a lot. Nationally, Rapid Blue is doing well at 8.8%. My customers, about the same for the last couple of years at 5%. It's a different, trendy color, fun, exotic color, and it's perfect for me, man. I love my Rapid Blue. Looking at Hypersonic Gray for last year, these numbers are skewed just a little bit, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Nationally, it was chosen 12.7% of the time, and my customers ordered Hypersonic Gray last year 19% of the time. Elkhart Lake Blue, another great color on this car. Last year, 5.5% nationally, and we're about the same. The customers that ordered with me, 6% of those chose Elkhart Lake Blue. That's a metallic paint for last year in Corvette. Ceramic Matrix Gray. Man, that thing was introduced back in 2018. It is hanging strong. Again, a very versatile color. You park it next to a white, people are like, hey, what color is that? It's ceramic gray. 4.7% nationally last year, and my customers ordered about the same at 5% last year. Caffeine, nationally, 1.5%. I'm starting to laugh a little bit, I'm sorry. 1.5% ordered that car. Last year, my customers ordered it 1% of the time. In fact, I just delivered my second caffeine metallic yesterday. But look at this thing out in the sun. It is dynamic, and you can see when you get up close to the paint, you can see a little bit of the red of the paint and know why. When it was introduced at the bash a couple of years ago, I teased and called it a meatloaf. I was trying to draw attention to the car, and you got to remember, this was never intended to be a volume color. It was something different to the palette, a very trendy color, and once people see it in person, they're like, oh wow, that's actually pretty dynamic. It is a good looking color, guys, and I know if you're looking to kind of reminisce back to the 70s, that might be the one for you. Black last year, nationally, 10.7%. My customers, only 2% of the time chose black because it's beautiful, but it is a pain in the butt to take care of. It really is. Arctic White last year, 13.9%, and my customers chose it 10% of the time. Accelerate Yellow, again, these numbers are skewed just a little bit. More on that in just a second. Nationally, it was chosen 4.6% of the time, and my customers chose it 6% for Accelerate Yellow. Amplify Orange, pretty much like that Rapid Blue, a different, trendy color, fun color, exotic color on this car. 5.3% nationally. People chose Amplify Orange last year. No longer is it a metallic, remember that. And my customers last year, you can see about the same at 5% chosen. And here they are side by side, the national orders and my customers' orders. Torch Red was number one nationally at 16.1%. Torch Red also number one with my clients at 20%. Look at number two, Arctic White, 13.9. I mean, that's very traditional Corvette. Number two with us, Red Mist, almost again this year, knocked off Torch Red. but on my customers' orders, look at Hypersonic Gray, tied for second place basically at 19%, and it was also third place nationally at 12.7%, and that's because of the special edition C8R. And then you go down the list, you can see there the Red Mist on the national side, Black, Rapid Blue, Elkhart Blue, Amplify, Ceramic, Yellow, Silver Flare, and Caffeine finishes about the same on both sides. My orders along with the national orders. Now, we were just talking about the C8R special editions, and they were only available in Hypersonic Gray and Accelerate Yellow. They were supposed to make only 1,000 cars, and they were numbered, but they did in fact make 1,007 cars last year. You can see how they break out. 470 were coupes, 537 were convertibles. For the customers that I was able to sell that car to, I did 11 C8Rs, 2 were coupes, 9 convertibles, and you can see that Accelerate Yellow were 3 and Hypersonic Gray was 8. And over there on the lower left, you can see what numbered C8Rs I was able to sell that are out there. A really special car. We actually talked about this before on the channel. I did a race-inspired special edition vlog and then talked about the details of the C8R, what numbered cars they were, what color they were, and what state they went to. If you want to see that video, there's a link in the upper right-hand corner right now, or there's a link down below in the description. Hope you guys are enjoying the data so far, the comparisons. Thank you again for the request. I'm glad I did take the time, a lot of time, to put this together for you today on our Coffee with Conti show. Let's get into a couple of small pieces, parts, some wheels, some interiors, and some other key features as we continue the comparison of what my customers ordered versus what the national orders were for the 2022 Corvette model year. Now we look at wheel selections for last year, comparing my orders to the national orders. The Q8P standard silver wheel nationally was chosen 35.3% of the time versus my customers at 16%. To the right of it is the Carbon Flash open spoke wheel, the Q8Q wheel. That's a very popular wheel. Nationally, 37.9% of the time, and my customers chose it 24% of the time. Lower left, the Q8S, that is the Trident silver wheel. 7.1% nationally, my customers 9%. And if you look at the middle wheel, the Q8T, the wheel that's on my car, the Spectre Gray Trident wheel, nationally 15.8% of the time. And my customers chose that wheel. That's a great looking wheel, I'm sorry. You can see 33% of the time. A lot of you guys, I think I might have had a little influence on that. But at the end of the day, you said, you know what, Rick, you're right. That's a good looking wheel. Now we have even more wheels to choose from in 2023. And the wheel numbers are skewed just a little bit. As you look at the 5DF, this is an accessory wheel, but it was also the standard wheel on the C8R, the only wheel you could get on the C8R Special Edition, and that's why those numbers are just a little bit higher than they were last year. Nationally, the 5DF wheel was chosen 11.6% of the time, and my customers 19% of the time last year, so you can see the huge disparity from year over year. In 21, my customers only chose that wheel 3% of the time. Now let's look at some Corvette seat options, the GT1, GT2, and the competition sport. Sometimes you guys call it the GT3, and that's fine. I know what you're talking about. The GT1 seat last year nationally was chosen 33.2% of the time, and my customers chose that 18% of the time. That's the only seat you can get on 1LT. It is the standard seat on 2LT, but in 2LT you can upgrade either to the competition sport or the GT2 seats. In the GT2 seats nationally last year, 59.9% of the time folks chose that, and my customers last year 79% of the time. Keep in mind the GT2 seat, again, these numbers are skewed a little bit. The GT2 seat is also the standard seat in the 3LT. And when it comes to the competition sport seat, that's a great track seat. And as many of you are finding out, you're driving your C8 Corvettes more now than you've ever driven any of your other Corvettes. The competition sports seat is just not the cruising seat. Nationally last year, that was chosen 6.9% of the time, and my customers only picked it 3% of the time. Now, if it had a quick release and you could use that for track, that would be the seat. No doubt about it. So look at the interiors, and what I did is I combined all the reds. If you were having a two-tone red, or if you had the 3LT override with a little bit of red accent, same with the natural and the grays. I put those all together for the national numbers and what my customers ordered last year, so you had a really good comparison. And you can see black, both nationally and for my clients, was number 1 last year interior-wise. Red was number 2 nationally at 26%. Red interior tied actually for number 1 at 27%. And it's the two-tone seat, again, the full red interior. Any derivative of red has been so popular with my customers since the C8 has began. And again, that is very traditional when it comes to Corvette. And the natural, you can see there, 21.6% nationally. And we're about 17% there with my customers. Grays, great color, two-tone or all gray. You can do so much. That interior goes with every exterior color that we have available. There's the strike yellow stats, the tension blue, and Morello red. Poor Morello red. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this interior. It never got its just due as far as proper promotion, people really acknowledging it. It was a 3LT only interior, and the national numbers pretty much match up with what my clients did this past year, 1.1% versus 1% with my clients. But it will be sadly missed. But people that have it, I know that anywhere you go and people look inside your car like, oh, what is that? Oh, wow, I didn't know they had that available. Well, it's too late now. So those of you that have it, congratulations, enjoy it. We continue with today's Coffee with Conti, comparing what my customers ordered last year for 2022 Corvette model year versus what the national orders were. Let's look at a couple of key hot button features. The FA5 carbon fiber trim accent inside. National orders last year, 19.6%. My customers at 24%, and these are almost identical to what they were last year. Okay, here's a big controversy, big conversation when it comes to Corvette. If you've never had Corvette, you go, oh, it has front lift? I'll take that. And you can see 58.8% of the people last year nationally chose that. Look at my customers. 65% chose front lift. They just want to be sure they have every opportunity to protect that front end. And I showed you guys just last week here on Coffee with Conti, if it's a steep incline or decline, you go more horizontal to compensate not having front lift and not damaging the front end of your car. If you missed that video, I'll put a link down below in the description. Also in that video, you'll see why I felt so strongly because of what we discovered on the front ground effects on Z06, why the front lift, in fact, is a must-have option. Again, check out that video. I think you'll agree with me on that. And let's look at Corvette Museum delivery. These numbers, I think, are going to be blown away next year. They're busy all the time right now anyways. Last year, 4.3% of the people chose Corvette Museum delivery, and my customers chose it 9% of the time. Now with plant tours opening up in November, that's a component of your museum delivery. I think you're going to see these numbers double, if not triple, for 2023. So that's about it. That's our show today. I hope you guys found this information fascinating and fun, just like I did. I want to thank the National Corvette Museum for providing the national numbers. If you want to see a grid like this and some really breakout, detailed information on all the features, all the options, each and every one, I'll put a PDF link down below for you guys. Check that out as well. Where it says description of video, sometimes you got to hit more, and then there'll be all those links that we're talking about underneath this video. Thanks again for watching. Support the channel by subscribing and hitting the thumbs up button on this video, making comments in this video. I love hearing from you guys. The other viewers love hearing from you guys. You guys interact so well. I have so much fun. I appreciate that. Have a great rest of your weekend, and planning to see you guys with Chuck on Tuesday for our Tech Tuesday segment. Thanks again for watching.